Tell me if this ever happens to you guys. You have a goal, you set out to achieve it. You're like, you know what, I'm gonna do this competition, or I'm gonna do this race, or I'm gonna do whatever it is. And then you start getting nervous and you're like, can I even do this? I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can do this. I don't know. And then leading up to whatever event it is, you either get sick or you get injured. And now you don't have to do it. Guess what? You have a valid excuse. Now you don't have to tell everybody, hey, I quit. I couldn't do it. Hey, I don't, I was scared. I was anxious, whatever. Now you can say, oh, I'm sick. I can't do it. Or I hurt myself. I can't do it. I did this to myself for years, and I didn't even recognize I was doing it. There would be a competition, or I'll give you a perfect example. I was about to qualify for the American Open in weightlifting. I hit like a 232-pound snatch, and all I had to do was clean and jerk 286 pounds. And I was like 286 was something I could power clean and jerk. It was pretty simple, but I was super nervous. I was like, if I do this, I have to then go to the American Open. I have to now compete. And I was super nervous, and I walked up to the bar, 286. I just started with that weight because I was like, I've hit this a million times in training. And I grabbed the bar, and on the first lift, I've never done this before. I've never hurt myself doing weightlifting in the way I'm going to explain. I literally went for the clean, and my foot got caught on the platform. You can't see my feet, but got caught on the platform, and I rolled my ankle as I went to catch the clean. And there it was. There was my excuse to not continue, to not do the next two lifts. My ankle was blown up. It was swollen immediately, and I didn't recognize I was doing this to myself until later in life. I read this book called The Big Leap, and why I'm even telling you guys about this in this story is I truly believe manifesting is real. If you believe in the universe, source energy, God, whatever it is, what you think about, what you ask for, you receive. The problem is if you don't get specific, you receive it in a way that you weren't trying to get it. I'll give you another example. My wife one day was like, I don't want to go to work. I don't want to go to work. I don't want to, all day long. She's like, I don't want to go to work. I don't want to go to work. And I was like, oh, just take the day off or whatever it might be. As she's getting ready to go to work, our dog got sick and we had to go to the vet. And instead of going to work, we spent the entire night at the vet. Going to work would have been way easier and way more simple. And so those of you who don't believe in manifesting and this happening and you receiving what you ask for, then you're going to listen to my stories and go, you're crazy, it makes no sense. But it happens too often for it to be a coincidence. And I told my wife that day because I started recognizing if you think about specific things, you will receive them. But if you're not specific, it comes in a way that you weren't hoping. So did she have to go to work that day? No, we took the day off. We were at the vet all night with the dog. Would she have preferred to go to work? Yes, it would have been better to go to work. However, instead of going, I don't want to go to work, I don't want to go to work. Well, I would like to have the day off to be leisurely and, watch movies and hang out. Not, I don't want to go to work, so I have to be at the vet with my dog. Now, I posted in the Massive Action Takers, it's a social media community that I run, people's 2026 goals. I wanted to know what the big goal, something you're striving for, something you're trying to achieve, make it scary, make it big, make it out of reach for you. Because like we talked about in my yesterday's video, limiting beliefs, you don't want to limit yourself. Because imagine, just to picture this, imagine this. If you asked for something, you received it with no questions. What would you ask for? You wouldn't go and play it safe. If someone's like, hey, I'm going to give you a check right now for as much money as you want. You wouldn't be like, dude, it'd be sick to make $1,000. You'd be like, a bajillion. Like, think of a number so crazy. And if look, I can't afford a bajillion, but I'll give you $1 million. That'd be crazy. Now, so many people do that in life. I do that. I've done it. And recognizing that you do it and you sabotage yourself and you essentially ask the universe, again, source energy, God, whatever you believe in, you are asking for them to shrink down and hand you package-wise what you think that you should get. Stop limiting those beliefs. You are going to get what you asked for. So I asked everybody in there, when they weren't specific, I said, I need you to be specific on exactly what you're asking for. Some of the people are like, I want a partnership. Okay, well, how much do you want to make with those partnerships? Because you could get a partnership that's $100 a month. That won't help you with travel. That won't help you for your competitions. It will help you, of course. And you did get exactly what you asked for. But think something, I want to make $10,000 a month with these partnerships. We've got people in there that have businesses and they're trying to do $500,000 a year. They're trying to make $20,000 a month. Now, if they strive for that and they fall short, more than likely, if they asked for far less, they will only work up to whatever they're asking for. So stop limiting those things. You Anything that you ask for, be specific. Because if you ask to not go to work, you might get a flat tire or you might get in a car accident because you asked, I don't want to go to work. You never said what you wanted to do with your time instead. You never said, I don't want to go to work because I want to have a leisurely day with my, significant other, and I want to exercise and spend time with my family and be present in life and blah, blah, blah. Be as specific as possible because you're going to receive what you constantly think about. The energy that everything has energy. Everything puts out energy. That is proven. So even like when you're driving around, you don't want to think about, oh, this is going to happen. You want to think of good stuff that's going to happen and good thing you're going to be focusing on. Now, I mentioned earlier, my point of this wasn't to share with you that book, but I really do like that book, and it's about everybody having a essentially happiness thermostat. And the more I talk to people and just am curious about, what makes them tick and what gets them going, you'll hear people say all the time, like, oh, things are going too good. Something bad's going to happen. Something's bad's going to happen. And that is not everybody. Not everybody has that same feeling. Some people are like, things are going good. Life's good. Let's keep it rolling. And some people go, this is fishy. Why are things going so good right now? And then guess what? Something bad happens. And you also have those people in life who are constantly like, my life sucks. Everything bad happens. Everything bad happens. And this isn't to take away from people who are having bad things happen. Absolutely bad things happen. When those people, however, and you know them, they have an incredible life. They've got a roof over their head. They have food. They have money. They have a job. They have family. Maybe not everything's perfect and tip-top to what they were hoping for, but they also constantly are attracting just bad scenarios, bad situations, bad things. They're the type of people who like, today's the worst. And then they buy, a $7 coffee and then they spill it everywhere. And it's like, hey, first off, you have money in your bank account to buy a $7 coffee, but your horrible attitude and the way you're treating people horribly and the barista horribly, and then you spill your coffee all over. It's like, yeah, no wonder you're not grateful for anything that you have. You're not appreciating anything that you're doing, and they're like, oh, my life sucks. I crashed my BMW. I don't know. Like, it's not necessarily the people always that, but I've worked with people like this. They have the same, they're in the same job as me. They have the same opportunity as me. The same people are around them, but they're just so negative constantly, and they just fall into this trap of being negative and being sad and whoa. And I will say, I actually know somebody who was like that, and they completely shifted. They changed their mindset, and they recognized that they were doing that. They're like, oh, I'm kind of addicted to being sad and being in this situation. And they started turning it around and being more grateful for their things. Again, I'm not taking away from bad things happen. There are, people have bad situations. And I'm not saying when you're upset or sad that you have to be like this fake grateful or, fake whatever, right? You can't actually be grateful regardless, but I'm saying you can be sad, all of these things. I'm just saying, if you have goals in 2026, if there's things that you want, if you're not specific about them, you won't get them. And it's happened time and time again. And I just want you to recognize, go through your next day, go through your next weeks, and think about when things are happening, what were your thoughts? What was your mindset? What were you thinking about? And this, I'll leave you with this because I think it's the funniest one, is so often me and my wife will be doing something and we'll like trip over or we'll hit our elbow or whatever. And we'll always be like, were you thinking bad thoughts? And 99% of the time I was like, yeah, I was about to say a snide remark, or I was about to say something mean, or I will say something mean, or she'll say something mean. And then you'll like, drop the dishes and you're like, oh my God, that's what I get. That's what I get. It's like instant karma. And I don't think it's a coincidence. You can, and if that's how you want to live your life, fine. But I don't think there's a coincidence in any of that. I think that what you put out is what you bring in, and whatever you're doing and whatever your goals are, be extremely specific so you get exactly what you want and reach way, way higher than you think you should be reaching. Because why limit yourself on what you can achieve by what people around you are saying and like even your own thoughts. One last thing, if you haven't read The Untethered Soul, that's a good way to recognize that your thoughts aren't you. You aren't your thoughts, consciousness. It's a deep dive. So the two books I've recommended in this is The Big Leap and The Untethered Soul. Great ones. Go check them out. And, okay, one more book. You Are a Badass. That was like one of the first self-help books I ever listened to. I would be walking my dog and listen to it. And that's when I started like my affirmations. If you guys watched yesterday's videos, I talked about affirmations and like sitting there and being like, I can do this. I can do this. So anyway, Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. These are just my random daily thought rants and things that I'm thinking about as I move through the world. If you enjoy them, hit the like button and subscribe. I don't care if you join my social media community or not, the Massive Action Takers. I do want to tell you that it exists. But yeah, all right. See you guys the next time I have ideas.